all these books out of order, and it actually made more sense to me. Keep watching to find out what book I'm talking about today. Hey, I'm Kyla Denanyoh, and you are hanging out with me, and we are talking about books, okay? So I'm scrolling through Libby looking for an audiobook to read, and I find Get a Life, Eve Brown. I pick it up, I start reading it, I love it. And somewhere towards the middle of the book, I'm like, they keep making references to these other people, to these other characters, the grandma, what's the big deal? I read the books out of order. It starts with Chloe Brown, and then it's Danica Brown or Dani Brown, and then it's Eve Brown. But anyway, I read them out of order and I actually enjoyed it that way, okay? So today we're talking all about Danica Brown, or take a hint, Dani Brown, all right? This book is written by Talia Hibbett. The genre of the book is fiction. The theme of the book is romance, okay? So my favorite thing about this book is, of course, the hashtag Dr. Rugby. But you can get that on the cover of the book. You can get that in, you know, the little bio. But like, I love Danica and Zaf. They are absolutely adorable. So this is your typical romance book. Eve Brown had the fun of, like, you know, the purple magic. But then this one had someone who was humble, meaning Zaf, but someone who had an incredible history as a rugby player. But then you have Danica Brown, who's this huge professor, but also like colors her hair differently every single week, super quirky, doesn't want to fall in love, doesn't want to date anyone. And then Zaf literally picks her up and carries her away. And you're just like, isn't this cheesy? No. Haven't I seen this before? Kinda. Is it well written? Yes. I love Danica Brown. So my favorite thing was reading this book made me want to go back to school and like reimagine the lives of all of my professors. So I've been to undergrad, which is 4 years, and then I've been to law school, which is 3 years. And I don't care which. I would go back to all 7 and just imagine, what do you do when you're not in school? What is your life like? Are there hashtags, viral hashtags about you and your life, right? So my favorite thing about these books is that every character has some underlying either like emotional or psychological issue going on, right? So as I mentioned before, I started with Eve Brown. So Eve Brown has this whole thing going with her dude. They're in the kitchen. He has his own little quirks and like little things going on. But then I read this one and I'm like, okay, Zaf is dealing with this PTSD, this trauma. He has this really heartbreaking story of his dad and his brother going away. And like the way that he found out was so traumatic, right? And so you have that, but then you have Dani and she's dealing with, do I want to date men? Do I want to date women? What's going on? And so there were all these different layers to the characters, which is very reminiscent of a screenplay. Like I wonder if Talia Hibbett even realized that like these would be excellent screenplays because there's so much depth and different levels to the characters that like they literally jump off the page. But now that I've read all 3 of the books and I realize, oh, if it started with Chloe, right? Chloe was the one that actually was dealing with the emotional and physical issues. In this book, Dani has a little bit, but in Eve Brown, it's mostly the guy. I mean, Eve had some like neurotic stuff going on, but mostly she kind of just seemed like she was a slacker, but even though that wasn't the case. Anyway, for that aspect, yeah, they probably should have been read in order. Start with Chloe, then read about Dani, then get to Eve. But I read them backwards and I loved it because like Eve was the young one that everybody was like kind of, oh, whatever, that's just Eve. So to like start with her, fall in love with her character, and then see the others, it was kind of brilliant. Plus, I got all the backstory about the grandma and her mom and her aunt. And so getting that backwards, it was really cute too. So would I reread this book? Absolutely. I love them. I mean, look at them here on the cover, right? She's got her pink hair. He's there picking up, like, so cute. So yeah, I would definitely read this and also read all 3 books in the series. And seriously, consider reading them backwards. Just consider it. So if you're interested in love and romance books, check out this next video here. This is all about love marriages and how great it can be to be in love with your spouse and get married to them and have no issues. It's not truly it. Go on and watch this review. I'll see you on the next one.